Salutations! Today we're going to be doing a makeup tutorial on how I accomplish my Doctor Strange cosplay. Disclaimer up front, the methods I use may be a bit unorthodox. They may not be the same as other people's methods. They may not be the same as your methods. But these are my methods, and this is what I do when I'm cosplaying Dr. Stephen Strange. Let's start with the hair. Now there are a number of options. If you're lucky enough to be one of those people that has naturally dark hair, you probably don't have to do much of anything except maybe gel it up and add the skunk stripes on the side and you're done. If you have lighter hair like I do, my hair is naturally reddish brown, then you have two options. You could either buy a wig or you could color your hair. On the subject of wigs, there are good wigs out there and there are bad wigs. I do my best to try and avoid wigs when I can. If I can do a character and use my natural hair, whether that means coloring it or growing it out, styling it differently, whatever, I will try and do that. I'm not the biggest fan of wigs. I don't like wearing them for long periods of time. They're itchy.
Stop whining.
I have for certain cosplays, and I will if I have to. A nice lace front wig is a little bit better in quality than like some of the cosplay wigs that they sell for Doctor Strange. In fact, most people I see that are doing the Doctor Strange cosplay, and not to knock or throw shade on any other cosplayers or the way that they do things, but there seems to be like one Doctor Strange wig that almost everybody buys. In my personal opinion, it doesn't look fantastic. It's not a lace front wig, it's just an inexpensive cosplay wig that almost everybody I see that does Doctor Strange cosplay uses. If they're gonna buy a wig, they'll buy this wig. Even the great and powerful Cumbermatch, who is an amazing, probably the best Doctor Strange cosplayer out there, and I say that just because he looks so much like Benedict Cumberbatch. He does a really good Sherlock, and his Doctor Strange is completely insane. Even he uses that same damned wig. I love the guy. I follow him on Instagram and YouTube, and I watch all his videos, and he's got some really entertaining TikToks and things. But that wig, again, not to knock anybody, but I just don't like that wig. So what I did was I colored my hair, and I realize not everybody can do that, but again, this is my makeup tutorial, and this is what I chose to do. So I colored my hair with Arctic Fox. It's Transylvania Black. And this is a semi-permanent hair color. It's supposed to be all natural, cruelty-free and vegan, if you're into that sort of thing. Most of these smell like grapes, which is kind of nice. They all kind of smell like candy or like that artificial grape flavor that you find in like lollipops and gum. So the smell is quite nice. Just follow the instructions and you end up with something like this. This stuff will fade over time. It starts off jet black, and with every shampoo a little bit will come out and a little bit will come out, and depending on your hair color and factors beyond my control, you're going to end up with hair that goes from possibly black to possibly blue to possibly green and anything in between. So I have dyed my hair twice this month. I did it early in October because I had a very early Halloween party to go to on like October 3rd. So since then, all of the shampoos and everything have washed a lot of this out. So I did it again yesterday, and it's holding up pretty well, although it is already starting to look like a little bit greenish and sometimes bluish depending on the light, but it works, and once you get gel in it, it kind of looks darker. So again, that's Arctic Fox. That's what I use to color my hair. Follow the instructions, you'll end up with something like this. And then from there, I have this American Crew cream pomade. Any kind of pomade will do. I like this stuff because it's not overly firm, like it won't make your hair crispy. It makes my hair nice and like malleable, but so I can still kind of style it around after I get it in. So I just rub a little bit of that in there, and you can see that it gives it that slight like shine you want when you're doing Doctor Strange, because his hair, quite honestly, is rather like wet. It looks very like slicked back, and already you can see it's looking really nice, right? I get this from Great Clips when I go cut my hair. Yes, I get my hair cut at Great Clips. I don't pay a lot for haircuts. I'll spend hundreds of dollars on cosplay, but I'm not spending $60 on a haircut. Alright, so you end up with something like that. And then, what you want to do is get those skunk stripes going, right? So this is where my methods get a little bit unorthodox. I am a big fan of using like poster paint, just tempera paint. So I'm gonna put a little bit of that paint. This is like those yogurt tops from like those Dannon yogurts. I just save those and I use those to hold like paint and stuff for like cosplay projects and makeup. I'm gonna put a little bit of white paint in there. And this stuff's non-toxic. You don't want to use acrylic paint for this. Acrylic paint has metals and things in it you don't want touching your hair. But this stuff is like, it's like kids paint. It's all natural, non-toxic. It's not going to hurt anything. So then I'm going to take a paintbrush. Something nice and wide and fairly stiff is good. And you're just going to dip it in there on both sides. Start right about here and you're just going to like brush it back. And don't worry about overkill right now because it'll photograph really well on camera. And if you get too much, you can always brush it through a little bit afterwards and kind of like quell some of that intensity. So again, don't worry about getting too much. It's not gonna hurt anything. For my hair at least, everybody's hair is gonna be a little bit different. But if you got, you know, straight fine hair like I do, I find it helpful to kind of like brush up and back. So I'm gonna shut up for a minute and I'm just gonna kind of do this and you can just see what I'm doing, okay? I kind of get a little finer in the back and just kind of feather it out. And then you're going to let that dry for just a minute and then you can kind of brush it through and get it looking a little bit less thick and it'll kind of like meld around the hairs and it'll look really good. So I think that looks pretty good for right now. I'll do the other side. I'm not going to show that, but I'll do the other side. Same method on both sides. Alright, that looks pretty good. If it looks a little too gray and not quite white enough, you can always go back over it. Again, a wig is easier. You can just put it on your head. But, you know, I think effect-wise, if you want to spend a little bit more time doing something like this, I think it helps sell the effect. And, you know, when you can use your own hair, it's just, I don't know, it just seems a little more, I would just rather use my own hair when I can. And again, sometimes you can just go over it with a little more white and you can just lightly, like kind of feather brush like the outside of the hair, just lightly, just to get like a little highlight on there. That looks really good, actually. Okay, so there we go. You can look at the side there and the front. Awesome. Alright, so essentially that's the hair. Sometimes what I will do, just to kind of lock it in place, is kind of hit it with some maximum hold hairspray. And that way, if you're outside, it's windy, it won't move around. But essentially that's how you do the streaks on the side. It's a good look. Okay, we're going to move on next to coloring the same method. I just use black poster paint. This is literally washable kids tempera paint. That's all it is, Crayola brand. Doesn't have to be. Pardon my toilet keeps hissing at me. I apologize for the sound if it's not great today. I'm not using my microphone because I just didn't feel like hooking all that up. When I'm done with this tutorial, I have a video that I have to film. I volunteered to help out a gentleman by the name of Sean Moriarty, who's a history teacher, and he wants a Doctor Strange video as part of his class history project. I won't go into more details than that, but I volunteered to help him out with that. So after I'm done with this, I got to go in the other room in front of the green screen and film a little speech and send that along to him. So if he is okay with it when that video is done, I will probably post that on my YouTube channel just so you guys can see it. It might not make a lot of sense to you because it's part of a greater gamified game for his classroom. It has to do with Paleolithic cave carvings and all kinds of other things. But if he says it's okay, I'll post that too so you guys can see it. But that's what I'm doing this for today, and I figured since I had to film this scene anyway, I would go ahead and just do a makeup tutorial in the meantime and kill two YouTube videos with one stone. Alright, so we're going to take a little bit of that black paint, and I'll do my eyebrows first. The worst thing you can do is apply too much. So you want to get a little black paint on there, and you want to just go very, very lightly. And if you can avoid touching your skin underneath your eyebrows, it's better. Not that the paint will hurt your skin at all, it's just that once it gets on your skin, it looks fake. But if you can keep it in the hairs and just brush a few light hairs like that, alright? And that is all. I have very thin eyebrows, so this step is crucial. A lot of people that cosplay Doctor Strange might make the beard and then forget to do the eyebrows, which is going to look funny. But again, I found that it's really easy to go overkill on your eyebrows. You want to just get a light coating on the hairs. See, and that looks pretty damn good actually. That might be the best one I've ever done. It's always a little harder for me to do my left eyebrow, so this is going to be a little bit awkward. But I'm going to try and do the same thing on the left side, and you just want to cover just the hairs. It's not as easy as it looks with the eyebrows, but this paint again is very forgiving, and if you screw something up you can always just wipe it off. You can have as many do-overs on this as you like. Alright, let's stop there. Then what you're going to want to do is get a fine-tooth comb, and once that dries just a little bit, you could just kind of brush that through. And as you can see, you get a pretty nice black eyebrow there. That looks actually really good. I'm really happy with the way that one came out. That came out really well. Okay, so as you can see, that's both eyebrows. I may have gone a little bit dark on the left eyebrow, but it looks okay. So I'm gonna leave that alone. Again, if you can just get the hairs and not touch your skin, a lighter touch is definitely a plus. So, but that looks okay. All right, so now we'll move on to the beard. So the beard is very important to Doctor Strange. He has an awesome Van Dyke that is very specific in the way that it's trimmed. Again, you know, option-wise, if you're a cosplayer of Doctor Strange, some people are going to just paint the beard on with makeup. You know, if that's what you want to do and you want to do that Halloween amateur hour nonsense, you go right ahead and just paint that on with black makeup. I think that looks terrible.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
And again, I don't mean to throw shade, but you know, if you're cosplaying a character and all you got is just painting on a beard with black Halloween makeup, that's cool. I'm a little more detail oriented than that for my cosplays. Another option would be to buy like a fake beard. Fake beards, again, they range anywhere from cheap and terrible up to like amazing lace front, you know, mustaches and beards that you can buy on Etsy from various vendors made out of yak hair and all this crazy stuff. If you're lucky enough to have a job where you can have facial hair and shave it in any configuration you want, then that's awesome. I can do whatever I want with my face, so I chose to grow out the Van Dyke for Doctor Strange. I have been painstakingly training this goatee for months now. It seems like an easy thing. It seems like you just grow a beard and shave it into a Van Dyke and you're done, but there's a lot more to it than that. If you look at I mean, I've gotten really detail oriented about watching the movies and looking at Doctor Strange's goatees. And I'll tell you this, they vary from film to film. They don't look the same in every single movie, they change. In the first Doctor Strange movie, it's his real beard. It doesn't look horribly dyed, like he has kind of dark hair and the beard has a little bit of light kind of variegation to it. And I think that it looks better in that movie because it looks so natural. In some of the films after that, it's very obvious that it's super dark. There's times, I think there's even a scene in like Multiverse of Madness where he's at Christine's wedding where the beard is obviously fake. And then the next scene, it's real. It's on his face and he grew it. And I don't know if that was reshoots or what, but if you really start paying attention to facial hair in movies, you'll notice all kinds of bizarre inconsistencies. The thing about Doctor Strange's goatee is it doesn't just kind of go out and straight down. It goes, his mustache goes out and then it kind of rounds around. It's almost like a circle. Most people, when they grow a goatee, it kind of goes out and down and it's kind of like a square, like a modified square or a rectangle. Doctor Strange's beard, and I think it's by design in the MCU, is like almost round. And then in some films, he has these points that kind of goes down, and then they jut out on the sides of his jaw, and he's got these like points of beard that come out here. And so I was aiming for that effect. You'll be able to see it more prominently when I actually apply the paint. It'll bring all of that shape to life. But that's just a little bit about Doctor Strange's Van Dyke beard that he has in the movies and how incredibly involved they can get if you really want to nerd out on the details of what it looks like. So I have a pretty good Doctor Strange shape going, and so now we're just going to paint a much in the same manner as we did the eyebrows, we're going to do the same thing with the beard. Being mindful of the camera and of applying makeup is definitely an art in and of itself. So props to all you guys out there who are filming these awesome makeup tutorials, because it can be rather difficult to talk and apply this stuff and also make sure you're in a good position in front of the camera for everybody to see you at the same time. It can be rather daunting worrying about all of these things. And again, I got a little speck of black right there. Ain't no big deal. It's tempera kids paint and it will wash right off. So again, sometimes less is more. You really don't need to touch your skin with any of this. And if you got a good thick beard, it'll be easy to not touch your skin. You just want to get those outer hairs. This is by far much easier than the eyebrows. You'll notice I'm kind of going a little overboard on how much paint I'm putting on my beard, because I know that I am going to brush this through and it'll drag some of that paint out of it and make it look right afterwards. So if it looks like I'm applying too much, that's by design. It will get brushed out. And right here I don't have a lot of hair. My hair doesn't grow right there really well, so I do just kind of dot. I do my best to cover any hairs that are along that area between my mustache and my beard, but if there isn't much to paint there to color, I will lightly draw in a little bit just to get that connection of top and bottom, right? Because you gotta have that, but it can be very thin. You just need the shadow of it so it looks like it connects. That looks pretty good. All right, so we're gonna let that dry for just a minute, a little bit, and then I'll brush it through so you can see how it looks. But already you can see what a transformation, right? I mean, for this light complected Scots-Irish guy, and now I'm like, have this dark complexion. And it doesn't look overly silly, I don't think. No more silly than Doctor Strange looks in the MCU anyway, so we'll let that dry and then I'll brush it through. I'm going to stop the camera for just a moment. Alright, I think that the paint on my beard has dried enough to brush it through, so I'm just going to get, again, fine-tooth comb, and you're just going to like brush it through a little bit. You don't have to go too rough because you don't want to brush out all the paint. Got kind of a glob right there. Again, if it a little bit gets on your skin, you can kind of get a little wet rag and kind of just wipe it off. But as you can see, when you start brushing that through, it really starts to look fairly natural. You can see that shape that you get there. See what I was talking about, how I shaved it into that point? And once you get some of that black tempera paint in those hairs along that point, it just kind of takes shape on its own. And you get that really awesome, defined, angular look that his goatee has in the movie. The paint will also act sort of as like a natural styling agent. Like it kind of acts as like a pomade. And it'll just kind of keep the hairs where you put them. And so it's kind of neat because it kind of just naturally shapes your beard. Yeah, very nice. Just style it as you need to. There we go, that looks fantastic. Wow, that looks really good. Okay, so that's the hair and the beard and the eyebrows. Now comes the foundation. The makeup palette. Alright, grab yourself a makeup sponge. Everybody's skin's different. Once you get this Mayron like foundation palette, just mess around with different shades and see which one you like the best. Again, it's a personal choice, but I like that middle one that's darker. The darkest of the middle row. a little bit more tan than my natural skin color. Doctor Strange isn't the most tan guy in the world, but somehow I think it looks a little dashing to have a little bit of a tan going. So again, you're just gonna start covering up your face with the foundation. Get all those blemishes, pimples, moles, freckles, what have you. Cover them all up. And I really am gonna have to get another one of these makeup palettes because I'm almost out of the shade that I like. I got a little mole in the side of my head there that I don't really like, so I'm gonna cover that up. Get underneath your eyebrows. Got a little cut on my nose there. There's probably not much I'm gonna be able to do about that. I found when I go up against my eyes, it accentuates my eye wrinkles more, so I'm gonna try and stay away from under eye area. I'm just not gonna put any makeup there at all, because it does actually makes me look older than I am. But I do want to go above my eyelids and underneath the eyebrows. And this is gonna use up the rest of this makeup. Make sure you get this area here between your beard. And the thing about also Doctor Strange's beard is he has a little, his mustache does go above his lip a little bit. It doesn't hang over his lip. You know, you're not trying to be Sam Elliott here. And I like to do at least my outer ear with this. And I will make sure to get my neck so that it doesn't look like my neck is white and my face is tan, because that's kind of strange, right? I mean, we're doing Doctor Strange, but we don't want it to look weird. Luckily he wears a high collar, so it's gonna hide most of that. It's gonna kind of get behind my ears on my neck there. The collar in the back's gonna cover that, so I don't really have to go crazy on the back of my neck or anything like that. All right, so that's what you want. This gives you like a nice tan. And then I sometimes will go back with like a slightly lighter color. I don't know, maybe that one. And I'll do like a little bit of contouring, or whatever you ladies call it. Like on the bridge of my nose maybe, and then maybe on the sides of my nose a little bit, just to kind of get some definition there, you know? I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but it's something you can do if you want to mess around with it. I'm a master of the mystic arts. I'm not a master of contouring makeup, but there it is. Anyway, so that's the face. Essentially that's the cosplay makeup tutorial. There's really not much else to it than that. At some point I may try to do like latex scars for my hands. I haven't done that yet, but if I can figure that out, I might do a tutorial on that. Oh, and also, like, if there's any spots of hair that I missed when I dyed it, like I didn't really do a very good job of getting my sideburns, I'll actually go over that with some of the tempera paint, just to darken that area back up. Same method as the beard and everything else. You can just paint your sideburns and let it dry a little bit and then brush it through. I have some natural gray going in my lower sideburn area, so I actually just leave that because I think that looks good. It kind of like does like a two-tone thing where it's got the white there and then it's got more white down there. Go with like the stripe of black in between a stripe of white and another stripe of white. I don't know how accurate that is to the movie, but I think it looks kind of cool. And if you get any on your ears, just wipe it off. Again, it's non-toxic, water-soluble paint. And then once you got that pomade in there and it's styled, you can really start to do some cool stuff, right? Because in the movies, he's got some neat little pieces of hair that kind of hang down here and there, so you can kind of fuck with it, right? You want something like that. Looks really good. Little curl. Oh, setting spray. If you want to lock in the makeup, very important step if you don't want the makeup to like wipe off as you're going throughout your day. Alright, that's the makeup for Doctor Strange. That's really all it is. It's the hair, it's the eyebrows, it's the beard, and it's the foundation. And then you're done with the face. And then you can go ahead and put on the ensemble. Well, I hope that was helpful. If you want to check out some of my other makeup tutorials, I will link those right here. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the multiverse.